right. Good afternoon, everyone. You know, backstage, I was talking to Ivan, and I realized that we have a lot in common. But we have a lot less in common, too. Now, welcome to the Language Roast, the place where I ensure that you don't sleep for the next 15 minutes because you get a good laugh, so that you can enjoy the rest of the show. Now, it's a roast. But we have to get started with a slightly diverse crowd. So if you are a programmer, challenge me, heckle me. If you're not a programmer or you're a program manager, which is a non-techie job, enjoy the puns in the stage. Every slide will have a pun, and if you can get it, you're semi-technical. Now, if you're an absolutely out of the industry, laugh as much as you can. Now, I come from India, which is known for one of its greatest mathematical inventions, the zero. Aryabhatta actually made that zero, but had he known that we programmers would come and mess it up entirely, he would be turning in his grave right now. Every programming language defines zero in so many different ways. You have a null, a nil, a zero, empty character, empty string, a null string, even a nil class. Now, talk about complicating things. But you know what? It's easy to talk about programming languages in general. But let's get warmed up. Everybody and anybody has ever done any programming has always worked in C. And for all those avid programmers who are actually trying to figure out what exactly is that particular part, pre-increment, post-increment, and what the answer is going to be, you're not going to be sure. You're going to check it, double check it, triple check it. And still you're going to wait, hey, I'll just try it out. Or maybe just ask ChatGPT and let it do my work for me. That's C for you. It was the language of the geeks. Pre-increment and post-increment. And I can see the gentleman laugh there because it's been done long back that we've all made these mistakes. But let's push the tempo a little more. Now, I have 15 minutes in which we have to roast a lot of different languages. Gets back to my next favorite of C++, which gets object-oriented concepts completely wrong. Now, for all the C++ programmers in the audience, I have no idea what you protect with the protected keyword. You have private, understand it. You have public, I understand it. But protected, if you find a really good use case for it, let me know. And then if it gets worse, we believe inheritance is in classes. But ladies and gentlemen, I will inherit my mother's looks, my father's humor. I will inherit their loans and liabilities, and hopefully any money that they have left me. And I'm pretty sure I might not pass on the inheritance because I keep partying and spending a lot of it. But you know what? Inheritance is with objects, not classes. It's not people who are inheriting. It's an object. It's me. It's an instance. And when Alan Kay, the creator of object-oriented programming, thought about this, he did not talk about inheritance in classes. He spoke about objects with messages. And then came along a friend. You design something big, and you realize, oops, this particular class needs access to that particular method, but it cannot inherit because I have this design. You hack your way through and make it a friend function. Now, if C++ was bad enough, of course comes our next friend, Java. And Java is, and I'm biased, Java is a language which misunderstood object-oriented principles, implemented them wrongly, messed up the whole language structure, and became insanely popular. So the trick to doing things wrong and getting it right is an example of how this language actually got there. They added the interface concept to get rid of multiple inheritance, which was never a problem in the first place. And to make matters worse, because you have to implement all these methods, you added the abstract classes and complicated things further. And then finally, in Java 8, they got default methods which implement an interface for ease of use, going back to circling back to something which makes absolutely no sense. Now, along with Java, a lot of people mistake Java for JavaScript. It's happened, people. But you know what? Here's the interesting part. JavaScript is called JavaScript because they wanted to hop in and jump onto the bandwagon of Java popularity. Which means if you by mistake search for Java on the internet, maybe JavaScript might pop up and somebody will use us by mistake. And mistake it is, because you have an object-oriented, functional, procedural, imperative language all rolled into one, which can drive you bananas. But it doesn't stop there. I always like to dive a little bit into the code. Do not even try to understand this piece of code, but concentrate on these few things. For all the programmers in the house, you know what an array is. Here, we've declared an array of 3 elements, but I go and put the 6th index there, and it generates these holes. So if I change that 6 to 6 million, what happens to my browser memory? It's contiguous, arrays are contiguous block of memory, and I was like, I should try it out. I tried it out, it should work. And I was like, wait, my browser didn't crash. So then I said, let's get down to the semantics of the language, and I found arrays are hashes in JavaScript. So you've basically taken a concept of contiguous memory and messed it up, is a lookup. And this is absolutely not done. And if you take it to the further extreme, you have semblance of sanity and a semblance of insanity. Now, I know for all the core JavaScript, passionate people about JavaScript will have the 2 primitive and the 2 number conversion. They'll come back and tell me, dude, this doesn't happen in TypeScript. But yeah, JavaScript is one of the most popular languages. It works like clockwork. But not as good as magic. Ruby is a magical language where I can prove to you that 1 plus 1 is 0. And you must be wondering what is in that magic? Nothing much. It's just a few lines of code. Here, I can open a class. I can redefine the plus operator, and I can do what I want. Which means I need to be sure of what I'm doing when I'm working in Ruby. Now, the programmers who feel that, my God, this can be really crazy, wait, hold your horses, because it gets crazier. I can write the same syntax of 1 plus 1 in so many different ways. Witchcraft. That's what Ruby does to us. And how many methods does 1 have? Wait, 1 is a class, 1 is an object of the class integer, and it has 143 methods there. And then, of course, you have Python. So when Guido von Rossum, the author of Python, got bored in a Christmas break, he wrote the core Python interpreter over Christmas break in 7 days. But here's the kicker. Why did he name it Python? Was he in a snake park? His favorite soap was Monty Python's Flying Circus, and he said, hey, let's call this Python. So if you want to name a language, find something weird, put in indentation, which strangles you like a python, and move ahead. Match. Yokohiro Matsumoto, who made Ruby, made it because it was a family heirloom. Little did he know that Ruby is going to become so popular that Ruby and Python are going to get into a situation where there is a tussle between which is a language which is better than each other. Of course, needless to say, I love talking about ducks. I love eating ducks. But duck typing is what they introduced. Now, new kids on the block. I cannot roast all of them, but I put them out there. Kotlin decided that these are languages which are post-2010. So these are the languages which have learned from existing languages or the mistakes of the past and tried to get it right. Kotlin said, we will have classes which are by default final. Which means if I define a class, I cannot have a subclass until I open it. But then this is like vasectomy. You've defined a class, but you cannot implement inheritance on it. All right. So the new concepts of object-oriented programming. Swift said, you know what, we should get protocol extensions. What? There are modules which are added somewhere. Haskell. Any Haskell programmers in the crowd would love it. Haskell programmers need to get through a PhD in theoretical mathematics, then get into category theory and learn monads. Rust and Haskell, by the way, decided to kill Aryabhatta in the end. They decided not to have nil at all. And Dart, which has become famous because of Flutter, decided to be single-threaded. They said, we want to be simple. And when you want to be simple, is that how you do it? And Go. Go, my favorite. Don't even try to interpret this code because it's that simple. Go is a new language which gets this done right. This is what I call a revolution. Reverse evolution. Revolution. But I could go on, and in the essence of time, I love to talk about why I did this. We don't just write code for fun. We make fun of code because we get deep into it and understand what needs to be done there. We tried this experiment in our office and actually conducted a language roast, which helped me bring up material for this conference. We actually implemented all this and got people to be excited about the idiosyncrasies of a language so that you would understand how to use a language right. And lastly, pushing the tempo. All those are logos of languages, databases, tools, which are put out with the Ganesh Elephant God Festival put out there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time, but I'm pretty sure you all are hungry. I don't know how you all like your meat, but I like my roast. Well done. Thank you so much.